The entrepreneur who experiments the most is the one who's going to win at a faster rate and then also going to be ahead of others. Let me tell you something here, okay? The more you experiment, the more you win in entrepreneurship. It's that simple, okay? You have to try different things at a high rate, a very fast rate, very, very fast. That means your skills have to be there. That means you gotta be able to move fast. You think of something, you do it, you implement it, really the same day or the next day. And the next thing is you gotta have high energy, okay? You can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna do something fast, then you do it in a sloppy way. You need that energy that's gonna be able to make sure that you can be able to execute it in the right way. And the third thing is you're gonna need endurance, okay? For you to be able to think of something, execute it, put in high energy, make sure it's the right product, make sure it's the right execution. You're gonna need to have endurance because you're gonna be experimenting constantly each and every week, if not each and every day. Because here's the thing. If I told you that there's 1,000, okay, there's 1,000 things you have to try before you find the right thing that's gonna work for you as an entrepreneur, what are you gonna do? Chances are you're gonna start tackling it right now. And guess what? The faster you tackle it, the faster you're gonna get there. But here's the thing, here's the catch. It's gonna cost time. It's not gonna cost money. That's not the biggest thing. It's not money. The biggest thing is your time. If you can be able to find a way to execute on your time even more as an entrepreneur, then you're gonna be able to win. And guess what? The only way you can maximize your time is by moving even faster, by experimenting even more. Let me tell you something. An entrepreneur who literally spends, I don't know, let's say for example, a year doing 10 things compared to an entrepreneur, the same exact year does 100 things. Who do you think is going to be winning? Who do you think is going to be ahead of the other person? And here's the other thing. It doesn't necessarily mean the person who's experimenting 100 or 90 more things is doing a sloppy job. What did I tell you in the beginning? You gotta make sure that you're keeping it high quality. You gotta make sure you have that endurance. That's how you make sure you keep it high quality. It's kind of like a race, right? For you to be able to have high endurance in a marathon, okay, you gotta make sure that you're pacing yourself. You're not just going off the bat, just jumping all the way in, but you are pacing yourself along the way. And there's certain times where you gotta sprint. And that's usually kind of like in the beginning and at the end. Okay, you want to get out there in front of the pack. You want to lead the pack. And then you got to keep your endurance nice and steady. And then when the race is about to catch on, it's about to be finished, then you pull up. Because here's the thing, if in the beginning you start off a little slow, it's gonna take more energy for you to be able to even catch up with the average pace that everybody else is going at. And then guess what? The race is winding down. Now you gotta even push even more, and you gotta exhaust even more energy, and you're not gonna get there. That's why it's very key when you are doing mass experiments in business. Off the back, as soon as you come up with an idea, the speed of execution off that jumping block, off that block, when you're going in the race and you're going into the idea you're executing, you got to move in fast. That means you got to skip the whole business plan idea. You got to skip the whole business plan, all that kind of stuff. You just go in and execute. You think of the idea, research a little bit, and then go execute even more. And then from there, you can start pacing yourself, okay? When you're right in the center of the experiment, you can pace yourself. You can experiment. You can try different marketing tactics. You can now research a little bit more about the demographic. You can be able to develop your business plan a little bit more. That's what you need to do in the pacing section. And as soon as you get your numbers down, as soon as you know what's working, what's not working, then you can go to the finish line and execute. So here's the other key thing, okay? Before I even go to the conclusion, when you're experimenting at a high rate in business, you're gonna be able to set up yourself for even a better position for the next experiment. Because here's the thing, big companies, like Facebook, Google, let's use Google for example. Google, they started off as a search engine. And now Google is doing way more than search engine, isn't that right? Google is out there doing a lot of different things. It's doing AI, self-driving cars, right? And they're launching even more products. The reason for that is because when they launched that first experiment at a very fast rate, that first experiment became a building block. It became the cornerstone of the house where they can be able to build other experiments. And that's the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur. When you're able to experiment on one thing and that thing works, it's gonna build the foundation for the next thing. That might mean that business is going to be able to create enough cash flow for you to be able to experiment and do R&D, research and development. You hear about companies like Apple, Google, Facebook, all those big companies out there talking about R&D. R&D is important because it's your survival. It's the next thing that's going to make sure that you keep moving forward. And when you're experimenting at a very high rate as an entrepreneur and you're constantly ahead of everyone else, then you've already won. And the good thing is this, as soon as you start building your endurance and you start building your energy levels and you start knowing how to maximize your time, then you're always going to be ahead of everyone else. And it's that simple. Just experiment at a higher rate, move fast off the beginning, off that jumping block, and then you gotta make sure you pace yourself in the center. So you don't wanna run out of too much energy. You wanna make sure you're pacing yourself. And as soon as it comes time to strike and finish the race, then you push yourself and break some records, break some numbers while you're doing it, all right? And that's basically why the entrepreneur who experiments the most is gonna win. It's gonna come out off the top most of the time. Because guess what? While they're doing one thing, two things in a week, you're doing like 10, 20, 30 different things. When they're doing only 10 things in a year, you're doing 90 different things, right? Even Elon Musk. Elon Musk said, if you go look at his quote, Elon Musk says this, while everybody else is putting in 40 hours, you should be putting in 100 hours in a week. Because guess what? What you're able to do, what's able to take you just 1 hour to do, it's gonna take them 2 hours, 3 hours to do the same exact thing. And that really does add up because guess what? It's gonna take them 3 to 4 years to do the same exact thing you did in 1 year. You know how much of an advantage that is? The advantage you just had is time, not money, not resources, but time. When you're able to maximize your time as an entrepreneur, you've won. Because from there on, when you have capital, when you have resources, when you have money, you can maximize that even way more. You can use that to experiment even way more. So in the beginning right now, even though you don't have a lot of resources, make sure you're experimenting. Make sure you're trying different things each and every week, okay? You don't want to finish the week without trying something new, okay? You don't want to finish a month without getting challenged on something new. Especially you don't want to finish a year with at least getting challenged by 20 to 90 to 100 different things that year, okay? So make sure you keep experimenting and keep pushing forward, and that's how you win as an entrepreneur. This has been Entrepreneur Vault 100. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on another episode. And make sure to experiment at a very high rate. Peace out.